As topic is connected with the last week's topic. So when we want to do that highest level of prayers, which we call contemplation, there has to be a silence. Silence. So today's topic is silence. So that's why it said that to enter the kingdom of God and to have a conversation with God or communication there, we must master God's language. And this language is the language of silence. It said that the language of Lord Shiva himself, silence. This language is very difficult to learn, the most difficult. It is very difficult to practice the language of absolute silence. Not just ordinary silence, we are talking about absolute silence. It's not easy for humankind to achieve the God state immediately. Even though we can achieve it, but not immediately. It's not just one sitting or somebody can teach us in a seminar. Because we got to learn how to go from the negativity to the positivity first. And then from positivity to silence. That is the path. That's why we were learning about the negativity in the last 6-7 weeks, when we talked about the desires, the greed, the jealousy, the ego, the pride, all that is negativity on this path. That's why I kept telling you that in the worldly sphere, people might think that these are positive. The anger is positive. Without getting angry, I cannot have anything done. But on the path of spirituality, this is a negativity. So to go from negativity to positivity and from positivity to silence, you cannot go from the negativity to silence. So only step by step can positivity be achieved, step by step. So it's a process, not all at once. Lord Krishna said, Shane, Shane. Okay, slowly but surely. Because goal for a yoga student is at a very high level. It is a spiritual destiny. It's not for everyone to achieve it. But the silence is the key, though. Silence is the key to meditation also. Some people say we cannot meditate. So if you learn about this silence, you'll be able to meditate better too. So silence is the key to meditation. What does silence give us? It gives you divine energy. It refreshes you. Silence gives you peace. Silence gives you divine strength. So there is a great power in silence. And I wouldn't mind saying that in silence, we hear the inner voice of our soul. The calling, often we talk about what is my calling. Calling is always there, but there's so much noise, outer noise. That calling, our calling is, it just gets drowned in that sound. So that's why we have to this. So without stress. I'm not talking about a physical silence, mental silence, restless. See, just like if somebody finds a fault in us, what do? Right away, we try to find fault in that person. We do not accept what we have been told. Even from our parents or grandparents or our teacher or the gurus, right away we react. That means there's no silence. And often we react negatively. And if this reaction is a physical, it becomes very tamasic. If its reaction is mental, still it's rajasic. But on the other hand, if we have absolute silence inside, no force coming from the external environment will ever affect us. Why? Because we'll be surrounded by that spiritual power of our silence. So it is important to be always in that kind of a tranquility. Not just in the presence of our Guru, not just in the presence when we are studying Gita. Try to maintain this tranquility other times too. Because this tranquility, this peace is not available in the external world. We are running here and there to look for that peace and tranquility in the external world, but it's always inside us. Peace resides inside us. Throughout our lives, we have been working on the physical power. Lot of time, all the food we eat, all the activities we do, we want to have a physical power. But someone said physical power is only 1% of our true nature. Intellectual power is 50%. But the soul power, the divine power is 1000%. So in other words, they are trying to tell us that, hey, the power of the soul is immeasurable. But when we are always entangled in the body, mind, intellectual cages, our power is limited. Our energy is limited. But our true nature, our real power, our inherent nature is not limited. Our true nature or the true power which we are is vast ocean. Why do we feel limited? Because of the avidya, because of the ignorance. We just identify ourselves with the body and we just keep on feeding only the body. We pay attention to only the body. We identify only with the body. And we feel limited. When we touch this supreme consciousness through meditation, then we feel that we are boundless. We are everywhere. We are eternal. This happens only when we realize our true nature. Only then can we be in this state. And the silence is the key to this. The real nature of the soul is not anger. The real nature of the soul is not jealousy. Those are acquired temporary behaviors. Those are like enemies for us. We need to be aware of that. The true nature of the Atma, the soul, the spirit, is complete silence. Deep, deep in that silence, the peace of the soul is infinite, immeasurable. And without this inner silence, we can never achieve in meditation that eternal, boundless happiness or the bliss within. That's how important this silence is. They say the silence is nectar for the sages. All the holy people, the saints and the sages, they are tuned inward for that reason. They find that bliss and joy and the peace right there wherever they are, because they have found the fountain of peace. The same way, when we go inside, we'll see that there's an unlimited awareness. The soul, the Atma, which is invisible to us, we can definitely see it, we can definitely touch it. Then we'll feel the real touching. We try to touch outside to get pleasure. The real touching, the smooth touching, the tender touching, that's a divine experience. And it's always inside, in our silence. And we do listen. I'm sure you all have experienced this. Listen to that inner voice, which we call silence during your meditation. Maybe a glimpse here and there that you have. There are stages to experience, because if you have not experienced it, if you really cannot get to that stage right away, there are stages to experience. This is the practice. Whatever we enjoy externally is the first stage. We listen to some chanting, we listen to some good talk, or we go to a holy place. So whatever we enjoy externally is the first stage. But from the first stage, when we learn how to enjoy mentally, not just through the senses, not just through the eyes, not just through the touch, but mentally also, your mind also feels it. That is the second stage. But these both are limited. Going to a place is limited, feeling it mentally is limited too. But whenever we enjoy spiritually, that's higher. Because in this kind, in the third stage, it comes in meditation, and we even lose consciousness of our body. That is a third stage. So first is the externally going somewhere, doing something through the senses. Second is experiencing it mentally. The third is feeling it, experiencing it spiritually during your deep meditation, when you lose consciousness of your body. But the fourth stage, which is absolute silence, which is our real nature, when you totally forget about your body, forget your mind also, you attain the state of absolute consciousness. That is the fourth stage, total silence. Because sometimes even in the third stage, what is happening is your breathing is going very fast or very slow. You're in between. But in the fourth stage, if you reach, You are totally silent. Your breathing becomes very shallow, almost no breathing at all, because there's no functioning in the mind. You are not experiencing it through any mediation. You have dropped the body, you have dropped the mind, you have dropped the intellect. All you are doing is feeling the oneness with that Supreme. That's where that silence is. So learning the language of silence is itself a great yoga. Takes practice. But then at the same time, we got to remember we don't want to stay at the first stage. Listening is good. Music is good. But do not stay only at that level. Watch your actions. Hurting others, scolding others, and telling lies are done through the tongue. Even though our tongue is just a couple of inches in length, but it causes a lot of harm to the whole world. So one of the steps of learning the language of silence is just closing the mouth. That is the very first step. Sure, listening to the chanting is good, but at our personal level, learn to keep your tongue inside. Not only inside, there is a Nabho Mudra I have taught you. Keep your tongue up on the palate so that you don't talk. You absorb the nectar which is within. Nabho Mudra. You can go back to your notes and check it out, how to do it. You can do it 24/7, that mudra. Nabho Mudra. You will eat less and you will speak less. That's how we increase the physical energy also, and we increase the mental energy too. So one of the steps of learning the language of silence is just closing the mouth and not speaking a word. But this is only the first stage. And not speaking also, we got to see what is the motive behind not speaking. Are we giving a silent treatment to somebody? Punishing somebody because I don't want to speak? That's not a silence. There's a lot going on in the mind. So that's why I said this is only a first stage. So silence from the words is good. But the next level we got to reach up to too. Silence from desires and passion is better because it promotes quietness within. Because desires are the one. Clinging desires. These desires could be to meet people, to talk to people, to check the messages, to have this, to have that, to go there. Those are all desires. So silence from words is good, but silence from desires and passion is better. That's the only way you will promote the silence within. But ultimately, not just the desires alone, not just the words alone, best of all is silence from all thoughts. Only then we will lead to self-realization. All thoughts. Even the thoughts that I got to do more seva. Even the thought that how come I'm not realized yet. All thoughts. So this is a real state of silence at the mental level. True silence rests the mind. So that's why they give us the first lesson for meditation. Learn to control the movement of the body, to sit still. And then second thing they say, the meditators who are teaching us to silence the mind. Because once you start meditating, the first thing that happens is that many thoughts arise in the mind, not one or two, but countless thoughts. They'll just keep on overflowing. The more you try to quieten them, the more they'll come. Try not to entertain them. Thoughts come, don't entertain. They'll come, they'll overflow, they'll go away. So if we want to silence the thoughts, the Rishi Patanjali, he told us to concentrate on one particular object. It's like a one point. Make sure that object of your concentration is divine. So rest of the thoughts, they will go away because you are only focusing at one place. Because if we are unable to do this, our minds cannot be tranquil. The mind has been compared to a wild horse or a drunkard monkey. A wild horse, we know how swift that animal is. And a monkey itself, if you have seen it, how it hops from branch to branch. And if it's a drunkard, you can imagine. That's how our mind is. We can be sitting over here, and mind can go to on the other side of the globe and come back within a fraction of a second. That's how swift our mind is. So until it is possible for you to do meditation sitting silently, combine your meditation with japa. Okay? Give your mind a little mantra. Use that. It's like a training wheel we put on ourselves. It's a training wheel. So combine your meditation with the japa because mind is just going every which way. Japa is different than meditation, but you are using the japa to enhance your meditation. Meditation is called dhyan, as you all know. And in Sanskrit, the definition for dhyan is dhyanam nirvishyam mana. So meditation is freeing the mind from all thoughts. That's meditation. So dhyanam nirvishyam mana. So meditation is definitely beyond chanting the mantra, because that is japa. But mantra does take us to a higher level where we can start the meditation. We are correcting our mind, the mind habitually, which has been just churning all the time. With the help of the mantra, we are correcting it. And another thing happens when we say the mantra or a jap, it's the same thing, jap of the mantra, because you always have some saying. It could be just a om alone, om namo shivaya, whatever mantra, it doesn't matter. But mantra helps us to burn away our karmas. It has that kind of a effect, the mantra. That's why they say the Guru mantra, because Guru gave it to you. It's called a live mantra. You do it more passionately. You do it with a full intensity. And you have a blessing of a Guru alongside with it. So it just has, it's more effective. So in the initial stages, use the mantra as long as you need it. Mantra is also considered like a rope or like a ladder, which raises us to divinity. So this mantra meditation leads us into silent meditation. You will see that eventually mantra will drop and you are completely silent. If mind comes out of silence again, use the mantra again. There's nothing wrong in coming back to that. But remember, what is the purpose of a mantra? There are spontaneous thoughts in our minds from beginning of our lives to an end. Some spontaneous thoughts come. We got to learn how to burn all these thoughts with the power of a mantra. So where are those thoughts coming from? Those thoughts are arising from our Chaitanya. They are coming from our vasanas. So we got to learn how to let them go, how to burn them. Because our main aim in life is self-realization. That is the main aim. You can call it a mukti or liberation or freedom, but it's a self-realization that you want to know who you are. That is the main aim. Because of the ignorance, we made eating, talking, being filled with negativity or materialism, we made that as meaning of our life. All this came from avidya, the ignorance, but the main aim is self-realization. So silence is sometimes not possible because we don't have this main aim clear to us. So for a sadhak, for a spiritual aspirant, it's very, very important. So practice mental silence. Pray always. That's why we often talk about the prayers, the devotion. Pray always from the bottom of your heart. Pure devotion is the true foundation for spiritual life. Pure devotion. God, I want only you. We got to practice this language of silence in our daily life. It's not just once in a while, daily. In the morning and in the evening, before going to bed, practice silence. Practice. Because we are speaking, if you pay attention how much we are speaking unnecessary words throughout the day. Unnecessary. We often think that other person is speaking a lot. But if we pay attention, we speak unnecessarily too. So stop speaking so many unnecessary words. If we say something wrong to somebody, when we criticize others, when we talk unnecessarily, it is definitely a pollution in our own tongue, and through the tongue in our mind also. That's why sometimes we just end up saying something which we don't even mean to say it, because it was already there. The vasanas were there. Nothing comes out without having something in. So we got to burn all that through regular meditation. Often in our homes, in the close relationships, we end up speaking harshly or even rudely. We just take the people we live with, just we think that they'll put up with it. On one hand, we say we love you. I even hear this word that from moon and back. But then we end up saying the wrong words to them. So the habit of speaking like this gives a lot of unnecessary pressure to the heart and mind. Our mind also, environment we live in also, and to the other person also. So because of the harsh words and sounds we hear, there's a lot of ill health in the world today. That's why even the TV, be watchful. what is coming out of the TV. We cannot just expect that we can keep on listening to the garbage and having a really divine atmosphere inside. It doesn't work that way. They say the beatings which a person receives through a stick or a stone gives the pain temporarily for a limited time. But the harsh words which we use, they are never forgotten. Okay, so a serious student is very careful, extremely careful. No justification that other person said it, so I had to say it. We are responsible for our own growth. An ignorant person talks insensately and waste words, troubling others. We'll say it's ignorant or we'll say it's a child. A normally good person speaks with kindness and does not hurt others. However, a knowledgeable or a realized person will not speak at all. Man of few words. Others will have to wait to hear the words because they know that there's a depth to his words. They will not ignore this kind of a person because his language is actually silence. And in this kind of a language, there is no question of hurting anybody. Because this kind of a deep silence, what is coming out is only peace and blessings. So it is far greater to be silent than to speak unnecessary or hurtful words. So as far as possible, remain in silence. Talk only if something is very important. Otherwise, don't talk at all. You know that there is a wonderful silence in this cosmos. This silence which is beyond life, beyond birth, and beyond death. That is the silence. So to attain such a wonderful state, you must have a passionate desire for knowledge. You want to know this. And that's why the practice of this language of God is silence. And we got to learn this language. We got to have a strong determination in our lives to achieve both physical and mental silence. We must develop a self-discipline to do this. That means we got to take it seriously. There are many levels in spiritual life. And they cannot be achieved all in just a single day or single sitting. That's why Rishi Patanjali said, practice it regularly, continuously. Dhira kal nirantra. So it will take a long time. Got to persevere. We got to be fully determined. Without this, life may not be worth living at all. So initially, the spiritual life, meditation, devotion, prayers, it could be difficult because it's a new habit we are cultivating. But gradually, as we go on practicing all this, life will become very sweet. Very sweet. Let me talk about 4 practices before I end my talk over here today. 4 practices for moving into silence. 4 practices. So you can just apply all 4 of them if you want to, or see which one you want to practice first. Number 1, become a person of measured words. Okay. So choose your words carefully. Haven't we heard that think before you speak? That saying is because of that. The minute you think, obviously you are putting a little halt on what you're going to say. That's why it said that silence is death for a worldly person, but silence is life for a real seeker. Because you want to move towards the silence. So whatever you want to say, you got to make sure that it needs to be said. It is correct what you are saying. Is it beneficial or not? Is it hitkar? Is it satya? All of this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna more than 5,000 years ago. So become a person of measured words. So by the practice of silence, the energy of speech is slowly transmuted into spiritual energy. So when you reduce the words which you speak, your spirituality, that energy which you need to move upward, because you don't want to just move horizontally, you want the energy to move vertically up, you can transmute. So as far as possible, talk only if it's necessary. Otherwise, it's better to be silent. This should be our mantra. Second practice. For at least 2 hours a day, try to observe silence. So total silence, as they say, zip your lip. 2 hours. By practicing this, we can gain a lot of strength. Not just all that time, but for the whole day. It's not just 2 hours. Effect of this 2 hours of silence will reap the rest of the day also. It will help us to control our anger. Because during this time of silence, if anyone scolds you or gets angry with you, you will not reply. You're not supposed to reply. It's not that you write it down. No, no texting. Silence really means complete silence. Okay, so no cheating on this. I was not speaking, I was only typing, no. So in this way, you will slowly and steadily learn to control your anger also, if that is one of the ailments we have. Anger is an ailment. We normally think that only physical diseases are the ailments. Mental diseases are even more powerful ailments. Third, observe silence when you eat food. We all did that when we were little. We were not supposed to talk, but it just became a fashion. People just like to have conversations, family discussions while eating. But in Vedas, it's said that the lifespan of a person will be increased if silence is maintained during eating. So if you want to live longer, eat in total silence. You can talk later on if there's something to say. Okay. Number 4, choose one day a week and observe silence. One whole day, if you're serious about it. So if you practice these points and you are really feeling what is happening, you will see that you are developing a stronger willpower, your sankalp shakti, which is needed on this path. And you will really feel that immense peace and energy in your heart also. So these 4 practices, very practical give away. I'm mentioning it to you. Become a person of measured words. Number 2 is for at least 2 hours a day, try to observe silence. And if you're living with the people, just mention it to them. This is what you're doing. You're not mad at them. You're just, this is a practice. And number 3 is observe silence when you eat food. At least start this one. Very easy. Okay. Consciously do it. No matter what you are eating, where you are eating, just silently. Even in your mind also at that time. Don't have the mind churning. Oh, it tastes so good. When will I get it again? No, no thoughts. Just only feel the godly energy, the divine energy inside you. And number 4 is choose one day a week and observe silence. And that day, what do? You can meditate. You can do seva somewhere quietly. In your own home, you can do the seva, write something, read something, just whole day silence from your words at least. Okay, so I'll stop it here. If anybody has any other thoughts, please share it with us.